Introduction of God is Not Great book summary. What if the stories you've always trusted were written by people just like you and me? In this quick dive, you'll discover how some early tales about Jesus were left out on purpose and why a hidden book called the Gospel of Judas was buried for centuries. You'll learn how oral storytelling twists facts over time, how key events in the Bible don't match real history, and how leaders picked and chose stories to fit their own ideas. By the end, you'll see clear proof that these sacred books were pieced together by humans, full of mistakes and mixed up timelines. Ready to uncover the real story behind these ancient texts? Listen till the end of the book summary. This video, including its audio and script, is protected by copyright. Unauthorized reproduction, distribution, or piracy is strictly prohibited and may result in legal action. Welcome to Religion and Spirituality English Book Summary, Episode 5. In this episode, we'll explore 2007 published book God is Not Great, written by Christopher Hitchens. The full title of the book is God is Not Great, How Religion Poisons Everything. Chapter 1 of God is Not Great book summary. Miracles under the microscope. What if healing a blind man was not a sign of divine power? In the book, Jesus touches a blind man and restores his sight. Yet if he could cure blindness, then why did he not cure all blindness? He must have been either unable or unwilling to heal everyone. These events fail when you look closely. They seem more like cheap magic tricks than true miracles. They may come from early ideas about the world. Long ago, people saw storms or solar eclipses and did not know their real causes. They thought these events were acts of God. Today, science explains earthquakes as shifts in the Earth's plates. We no longer call them divine punishments. Modern miracle stories feel weak. Some believers rejoice when they see a face in toast. Others believe a statue dripping red liquid is proof of God. These signs are small. They cannot match the idea of an all-powerful deity. They look like random patterns that people choose to believe in. The book also explains how stories change over time. People first shared them by word of mouth. No one wrote them down. That made them easy to twist. Each retelling added or removed details. Soon the story grew beyond the truth. It mixed fact with fiction. That is how a simple event turns into a so-called miracle. Science has moved religion to the edge of society. Yet some people still search for proof of faith. They chase stories from the most unlikely places. They read random marks or stains. They trust tiny hints as great wonders. But when you dig into these stories, the power fades. The signs turn into simple human inventions or misread events. This chapter will explore why miracles lose their wonder under a closer look. We will see how simple explanations can replace grand divine claims. Chapter 2 of God is Not Great book summary. Morality under fire. What if the rules that claim to guide us are actually harmful? Religions often say they teach right and wrong. They warn that life without faith would end in chaos. But non-believers prove this is not true. People without religion still know how to be good. In fact, the book shows that some religious rules cause more harm than good. Religious books let slavery continue. They let people kill or hurt others. In one story, God orders the death of all firstborn Egyptians in the Exodus. That is mass murder. Yet believers use this story to justify violence. They see non-believers as enemies. They torture or shame those who question faith. They punish those who pray to other gods. These actions are not kind. They are cruel. The book also points out impossible rules. Believers must fight their own bodies. They must fight natural urges. The rules on sex and desire are hard to follow. If our bodies fail us, is that our fault? Or is it a flaw in God's design? Then we face eternal punishment for mistakes we cannot avoid. Even a single thought can lead to damnation. This fear stays for life. It builds guilt that never goes away. In the end, the book asks us to rethink where our morals come from. Are they in ancient texts or in our own hearts? True right and wrong can grow from care and respect. It does not need threats or shame. We can choose to build a better world, one without fear of endless punishment. Chapter 3 of God is Not Great. Book Summary. Unseen Chains. Imagine worshipping a leader who is already dead. North Korea still calls Kim Il-sung its president. He died in 1994. Yet his face is everywhere. His orders shape every part of life. This is the mark of a totalitarian state. Stalinist Russia and Nazi Germany did the same. They controlled what people thought. They controlled what people said. No command is too odd to obey. Citizens must follow every order. No questions allowed. Even small acts of defiance bring cruel punishment. Families can be torn apart. Loved ones can vanish. Now think about religion in the same way. The book explains how faith can act like a state. In theocracies, religious leaders rule like kings. They police clothing, work, and even private moments. They tell people how to dress and where to live. They control jobs and marriage. They ban books and ideas. They demand total loyalty. Everything you do must honor their rules. The book shows that religion itself asks for total control. Believers become willing slaves of God. They pray for His watchful eye. They accept His every command, no matter how odd it seems. They believe one wrong thought can send them to eternal punishment. In a totalitarian country, you might find escape in death. But under this religious rule, death is only the start of endless torment. What if all this power comes not from a living ruler, but from an idea? What if your own faith asks more of you than any government ever could? In the next chapter, we'll explore how this kind of power shapes our choices and our lives. Chapter 4 of God is Not Great Book Summary. Innocent minds. What if faith hurts the most innocent? Religious laws can be old and strict. They can force strange and harmful acts on kids. Yet believers follow without question. They think traditions must stay. Society often lets these acts slide. When done for religion, we call them sacred. But without that label, they look like abuse. Look at circumcision in Jewish and Muslim faiths. People accept it. Boys face surgery that cuts their bodies. Taken out of faith, it is genital mutilation. It is child abuse. The book shows another harm. Children learn about hell. They hear stories of endless suffering. They are told they face fire and pain if they sin. This scares them. It shapes their behavior. It controls their minds. Kids also hear that friends and family can burn in hell. They learn to fear those who think differently. This fear can break their trust. It can isolate them from loved ones. In any other situation, laws would stop these acts. Doctors and courts would protect kids. But religion gives these acts a free pass. Believers ignore the harm. They claim faith is more important than common sense. The book makes us ask hard questions. Should we let faith decide what is safe for kids? Should we accept old practices just because they come from religion? True care for children means protecting their bodies and minds. It means facing traditions with clear eyes. It means choosing reason over fear. In the next chapter, we will see how we can stand up for the most vulnerable. We will explore ways to protect kids from harm hidden behind faith. Chapter 5 of God is Not Great Book Summary. No tolerance. What if you had to follow rules you never picked? Religions say they bring joy. They promise bliss now and later. But history and modern times tell a different story. Believers often feel anger. They act in violent ways. They push their views on others. They force faith on friends and neighbors. They see other beliefs as threats. Every religion says it has all the answers. It claims to explain every event in life. That belief must stay strong. Allowing other ideas would weaken it. It would admit that God is not all-powerful. That cannot happen. So religions fight other views. They call them heresy. From Belfast to Beirut, people have died over faith. They have torn families and communities apart. They have burned homes and spilled blood, all for a belief in a single truth. In 1989, Salman Rushdie learned this the hard way. He wrote a book that upset many Muslims. The Islamic leader of Iran said it was every Muslim's duty to kill him. Rushdie had to hide. He spent years on the run, all for words on a page. Religions talk of love and peace. Then they demand power in this world. They pass rules to stop free thinking. They punish those who choose a different path. They tell people what to wear and how to live. They even try to police the heart and the mind. The book asks us to see this side of faith. It asks us to ask hard questions. Can any belief stay true if it cannot stand up to challenge? Or must we find our own answers and let others find theirs? Chapter 6 of God is Not Great book summary, Hidden Pioneers. What if asking a simple question could cost you your life? Long ago, people faced real danger for doubting religious teachings. Yet these brave minds still pushed forward. They helped us learn about the world. Today, we can search online in seconds. We can read books in libraries without fear. We owe this freedom to those early free thinkers. Many of their names are lost. They stayed hidden to stay safe. They wrote in secret. They met in small rooms. They risked everything for the chance to know more. The book shows how this slow push changed history. It tells of Socrates in ancient Greece. He spoke out against religious rules. He asked people to think for themselves. In the end, he drank poison for his beliefs. His ideas lived on. They inspired others to question old ideas. Fast forward to the 19th century. Charles Darwin stepped onto a ship called the Beagle. He sailed to faraway lands. He watched birds, plants, and fossils. He saw life changing over time. His theory of evolution shocked the world. It challenged the fixed stories of religion. Some used his work to weaken the power of old dogmas. These pioneers were not always atheists. They simply wanted answers. They used careful study and simple logic. They looked at nature with clear eyes. They wrote down what they saw. They talked in small groups. They shared ideas quietly. Bit by bit, they built a new view of life. In the face of violence and threats, they stayed true. They showed us how to think for ourselves. They laid the path for modern science. They set us free from old fears. In the next chapter, we will follow their footsteps. We will see how curiosity can break the strongest chains. Chapter 7 of God is Not Great book summary. Clashing truths. What if two powerful forces can never agree? The book shows that religion and science are at odds. They both try to explain the world. Science uses experiments and facts. Religion relies on ancient writings and faith. But only one can be right. In recent centuries, science has grown. People learned to test ideas. They saw how nature works. This made religion less central for many. Long ago, rainmakers claimed they could bring rain. Then climate experts arrived. They used data and models. Rainmakers lost their power. Religion faced a similar fate. Some faith leaders said religion fills science gaps, but hard truths wore down that claim. Some followers still fight. They demand that schools teach the Bible's creation story alongside evolution. They ignore mountains of proof. They shape lessons to keep their power. This keeps doubt and fear alive in new generations. The book also looks at a more tragic clash. The Catholic Church opposes condoms. They call them a sin. Yet condoms are one of the best ways to stop HIV and AIDS. This rule has cost lives. It spread a deadly disease that could be slowed or halted. Meanwhile, vaccines and medicine have made modern life safer. Science and medicine have given us longer lives and less suffering. But religion still fights against these gains. It guards its old territory. It resists change. In the next chapter, we will see how this tension shapes our world today. We will explore how we can bridge gaps or choose sides. We will ask if true harmony is possible when faith and facts collide. We will find out why this fight matters to us all. Chapter 8 of God is Not Great book summary. Endless struggle. Have you noticed how faith still shapes our lives? The book argues that religion never sits quietly. It always tries to control us. It wants a say in our schools, our laws, and even our personal choices. Long ago, people used religion to explain storms and sickness. They had no science. Now we do. We know why earthquakes happen. We know how germs spread. Yet religion stays alive. It fills our fears about death and the unknown. As long as we feel scared, religion will thrive. It preys on our doubts. It offers comfort. It also asks for power. The book points out what happened in 2005. Cartoon images of Muhammad led to violent protests. That shows how strong religious feelings can be. People fought and died over pictures on a page. We must keep asking tough questions. Early free thinkers did this. They risked their lives to challenge faith. Today, we must follow their lead. We need to expose false claims and backward rules. We need to show how tribal thinking divides us. Religion and reason cannot share the same ground. One seeks proof, the other asks for blind trust. To keep a free society, we must defend science and free thought. We must stop faith from forcing itself on everyone. The battle is not over. It will last as long as doubt lives in our hearts. But every time we learn something new, we weaken its hold. Every time we choose facts over fear, we push back against old dogma. In the next chapter, we will explore how to build a world based on reason and kindness. We will see how we can stand free of ancient chains. You just heard our book summary to God is Not Great by Christopher Hitchens. Conclusion of God is Not Great book summary. Key points. You saw how Christopher Hitchens shows that religion is made by people to explain things we don't understand. You learned that sacred texts were picked and changed by human hands. You saw how miracles look like magic tricks born from early ignorance. You heard how religions claim to teach right and wrong but back cruel acts like slavery, genocide, and the unfair treatment of women and children. You learned that faith can demand blind obedience just like a harsh ruler. You learned how children are taught fear of hell and odd rituals without question. You met the brave free thinkers, from Socrates to Charles Darwin. They risked their lives to ask questions and study the natural world. You saw how science and faith often clash. And you learned why it's so important to check old beliefs with clear facts and kind hearts. Now it's up to you. Keep asking questions. Stand up for free thought and science. Help build a world based on evidence and caring for others. Listen the other book summary. Disclaimer, please check the description. Any digital copy of this content that is shared through piracy or downloaded without permission or uploaded on any online social media platform will be considered a clear violation of copyright law. Piracy is a serious offense and strict legal action will be taken against it. Additionally, copyright infringement may result in a strike against your YouTube channel or page, and it could even be deleted. Therefore, please do not engage in piracy or support it. This content has been created based on the references from the mentioned book. However, it may contain some unintentional errors or inconsistencies due to human or mechanical mistakes. If you notice any mistakes or inconsistencies, please accept our apologies and inform us through a comment or message. If you enjoy this book summary and wish to gain complete knowledge of the book, then please consider purchasing the book from an online or offline bookstore and reading it. Thank you.